listening to Sports Radio Detroit.
Hello and welcome back to Grave Discussions. I am your host, Barnabas.
And I'm your co-host, Samael. Welcome to episode XXXX.
Episode number 40, You Don't Have to Be Afraid. In this episode, we're going to be discussing a topic near and dear to all of our hearts, the horror genre as a whole. What makes something horror? Our opinions on horror films in general. I've been seeing a lot of people saying, "Oh, X movie isn't horror."
Yeah, people
blah, blah, blah.
complain about Jaws not being horror.
Yeah, just general shit like that. So we wanted to kind of talk about it, discuss it as we do on the show. So that's coming up a little bit later in our main segment. Before that, we've got, of course, the Cult Corner, and we're going to start off as always with a shout out to Sports Radio Detroit, our gracious network.
Yes, and you can find them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at SRD Sports Radio Detroit, the one and only. No, not Detroit Sports Radio, Sports Radio Detroit.
Yep, sportsradiodetroit.com has all of their content, including our shows, so go check them out. We're going to jump right into the horror news today, and the first article is about a brand new film coming out that's based on creepypasta.
Oh, shit.
Yep. So we've been seeing this kind of happening more and more with the release of Slender Man and probably a few other films. This one is kind of a bigger one. It's called The Patient Who Nearly Drove Me Out of Medicine. And
that's a really long title.
Yeah, it is. I think I actually read this one.
This is it's a book, right?
So, yeah, it originated online as a creepypasta on Reddit's No Sleep forum. And so basically it's just like a short story. And then I think it became a novella. So now it's going to be a movie. And Ryan Reynolds actually is going to be producing the film with the producers from Vertigo Entertainment. So it should be pretty cool. The premise basically is about a doctor who is trying to heal this one patient. And I don't exactly remember what the whole premise is, but it's pretty twisted. So it should be pretty cool.
You said Ryan Reynolds and the guy one of the people who produced is funding this shit?
Yeah. So
okay.
It's Vertigo Entertainment, who are also doing the new Friday the 13th reboot with LeBron. So it's the same people.
You think they're going to go through with that reboot with LeBron? Because right now, they don't... I forgot who owns the rights for Friday the 13th. The people who produced, I think, Friday the 13th Part 3... it's called Horror something, but those are the guys who own the rights.
Isn't it Sean Cunningham? But it's this one I think is going to be the one that Victor Miller has the rights to from that legal battle.
So they can't have Jason. So it's probably just going to be Mrs. Voorhees focused and like probably going to give her backstory, and then it's probably going to end at the moment where Jason like drowns. You know, they're probably just going to give us some crap backstory, which is cool. I guess we never got, to know about Jason's dad unless you read the comics and shit. What was his name? Fucking...
I don't remember. I don't know, but...
He had a stepdad.
Yeah. Isn't he kind of covered in like one of the fan films or something? Or gonna be, I think? I don't know.
No, they were going to cover him in the Friday the 13th, the reboot. Not the one by LeBron, but the one that they were talking about making before this lawsuit started. But not anymore. Gotcha.
Well, anyway... The Patient Who Nearly Drove Me Out of Medicine is coming out, and it's actually going to be distributed by 20th Century Fox. So, if I remember the creepypasta correctly, it's pretty good. So I'm pretty pumped about it. Ryan Reynolds is not going to be like in it, but he's going to be.
They should change the title. It should give them a different. They should give it a different title and then be like inspired by the creepypasta, like in the credits. Not like the whole title is like a whole fucking sentence. Look out behind you! There's a guy in a mask. That's what we're gonna call our movie when it comes out. We're gonna make our own movie.
Yeah, but stay tuned for that one. Most likely, there's gonna be more news next year. The next bit of news is remake again. But this time it's going to be for something you might not have been expecting. The Toxic Avenger.
That movie was great. I watched it when I was in like middle school, and don't get me wrong, it was like kind of a piece of shit, but it was like wow, this is a great piece of shit.
Kind of,
like,
yeah.
you know when you like you just like it's a turd, but you want it to be there. It's like spraying a turd with air freshener or coating it in chocolate. Like,
yeah, I mean,
you don't eat it. You're just like, wow, I appreciate that.
Yeah, there's like a special fan base for these kind of films, like for sure.
The trauma films.
Yeah, trauma. Because
did you ever see Romeo and Juliet?
No, I didn't.
So fucking stupid.
They're also super over the top. They're like really gross, and they're not even like disturbing or horrific or anything necessarily.
They're just cheese.
Yeah, they're just like huge like cheeseball films, and they're just weird. Like that's the best way I can describe them. But if you've never seen Toxic Avenger, it's about this mop boy called Melvin who falls into a vat of toxic waste, and then he transforms into basically like not really the Hulk, like a fucking mutant, and he just goes around and he's like a superhero. It's, I don't know, it's pretty great. It's super cheesy. It was done in 1984 by Lloyd Kaufman and Michael Hertz. So there's going to be a reboot by Legendary Entertainment, who acquired the rights to the remake. So
I think it might be good since it's like modern now.
Maybe
either that or it's gonna be like super Hollywoodish, and it's gonna have like a fucking like whatchamacallit, like a Pineapple Express vibe to it, except like with a toxic. It's gonna be like Seth Rogen, like and then he's just like a toxic. I didn't want to be this, like, you know, like just
yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think the whole appeal for like the original film is just like the whole like super low budget, just really cheesy, over the top, like gross gore and everything, you know, like what's typical out of Trauma.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of interested to see which direction they go with it, but I have a feeling it's not going to be that good. Probably. Yeah, most likely.
Because I mean, look, Toxic Avengers was good for its time, like you said, because of the cheese and because of that ridiculous shit.
Yeah, I mean, it came out in the 80s, so pretty much everything else around it kind of resembled it as far as like horror movies go. You know, everything was like pretty low budget.
I hope they don't make this a serious movie.
I don't think so. I mean, I hope not, because then that would be completely going away from it.
I don't think it would work in the modern day if you're not like a fan of like these type of movies. Like this isn't something that everyone's gonna look at and be like, yeah, we gotta go see Toxic Avenger remake. Like, no, it's just gonna be for people who know what the fuck it is.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, it's like a super like niche like fan base. So
those motherfuckers.
Yeah, those people are gonna be out in droves, I'm sure. Fucking weirdos.
Yeah,
but
fucking swamp people.
Seriously. Anyway, Toxic Avenger, the remake, gonna be coming out. There's no release date or anything yet, so keep an eye out. The last bit of news here is about, I just thought this was kind of like a cool piece of news.
Oh, shit. So
Peter Jackson, if you're familiar with Peter Jackson, obviously, Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit. If you didn't know, he did a lot of pretty like gross, gory, disgusting horror back in the day, like when he was first starting out as a filmmaker. And if you didn't know, he did Dead Alive, aka Brain Dead.
And they're gonna do Bad Taste. They're doing that in 4K.
Yep. So yeah, he's
Dude, Dead Alive in 4K.
Yeah, he's revisiting his like 4 of his older films: Bad Taste, Dead Alive, Meet the Feebles, and Heavenly Creatures, and they're going to be all remastered in 4K with all kinds of like new special features.
Bad Taste is on fucking Popcorn Flicks or fucking Tubi. I know one of those for sure.
Yeah, I think it's on Amazon Prime actually too.
It shows like that dude with like the machine gun on the fucking cover, right? That ugly alien piece of shit.
That weird alien looking.
Yeah.
dude.
Okay. Yeah, they have that on Tubi, I think.
Yeah.
Tubi Prime or Popcorn Flicks, one of those services.
Yeah, but everything's gonna be releasing in 4K, which is amazing. Especially amazing too, because I know a lot of horror fans are fans of Brain Dead.
Oh yeah.
And the thing with Brain Dead was like you couldn't find it for the longest time. It was kind of hard
you have to like stream it illegally or some shit.
Yeah.
I watched it on FearNet when FearNet was still around, so you couldn't find a way to watch it since like 06, 05. Like,
yeah. And
that's
then
the last time I saw it.
I think there was a Blu-ray of it, but even the Blu-ray was like pretty hard to find.
You know, even if you find the bootleg ones nowadays online, or if you're streaming it like, you know, illegally, like a lot of people are saying like that the sound is off, like even on these fake copies, like there's like double audio, repeating audio and shit like that, so like you can't really find the actual like Some people got the VHS.
Yeah.
It's out there, but
Oh shit, dude! They sell it for like hundreds of dollars, probably. If
unless they don't know and they're just selling it at like a market.
Yeah, most likely. I mean, people find them in pawn shops and stuff all the time, so
Yeah.
it's likely. But there's actually a quote from Peter Jackson saying, "I've done some tests on Brain Dead where we took the 16 millimeter negative and put it through our restoration pipeline, and shit, it looks fantastic."
No way.
So I'm pumped. And there's also, this is the most exciting part for me. There's another quote down here at the bottom, and about the special features. He said, "There's 50 to 60 hours of us filming Brain Dead, and that's like behind the scenes stuff that someone else did." So that's dope.
That is dope.
So I hope that that's all going to be on the 4K.
Did they say when it's supposed to be released?
Right now, I think they're still working on restoring everything. I'm hoping that it's next year sometime.
Hopefully before that.
Yeah.
Well, next year is in a month, so.
Yeah, but I know what you mean. Like, hopefully sooner than later. I don't want to
Yeah,
wait till like this time next year.
Yeah, I don't want to wait till the summertime. Like, I got to wait for the fucking Dead by Daylight dedicated servers. We're not getting those till summer 2019.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know, but we'll see. I mean, I don't know that much about the restoration process, but they got to comb through like all the footage, clean everything up, clean up all the audio and all that shit. So it could take a while, but if we have any updates, we'll keep you guys posted. So let's move on. We've got a couple trailer announcements, and then we're going to get into our first segment. The first trailer is called Brightburn. Now, this one was talked about quite a bit on social media. This is a pretty fresh horror film in kind of a new subgenre. Okay?
So what's the premise?
So say it with me, okay? Superhero horror movie.
I don't want to say that.
But it does actually look kind of cool. Basically, the premise of this film, think about the Superman origin story, but just imagine if he went like crazy as a little kid and just murdered everybody.
Oh, shit.
That's basically what this movie looks like. It's got Elizabeth Banks in it, and then I forget who the main actor is, but James Gunn, of all people, is producing it. And I'm actually kind of excited because, yeah, he's been doing more superhero stuff lately, which I guess is good, but he also did Slither. So, I mean, I have faith in him. But it does look pretty cool. It looks like there might be a lot of CGI, but...
And when I think of like the closest superhero horror thing, it would be Jason from Part 6, because he like had those fucking throwing knives and shit. Like, so that's basically like the closest we got to a superhero villain is Jason. Part 6 and after, because I mean Freddy kind of too.
Yeah, I mean when
But
you
not
think
like-
about it, like all those guys kind of have like superpowers, you know, quote.
I mean Freddy sure does.
Yeah, I mean basically, I mean it's not like your typical superhero thing, but they all have like demonic powers or supernatural powers. I mean it's not that far off that you'd have like a more like standard like superhero horror movie, you know?
Yeah.
Because literally, like, if I was able to shoot fire out of my hands, do you think I'd be going around like the Avatar, like saving the world and shit? Well, me maybe, you know, because I'm a nice guy. But like, if some criminal had that, it wouldn't be like you see it in like a typical horror movie. He'd probably be going around like literally burning people to death, you know, robbing banks and shit.
Well, I mean Carrie too, bro. Carrie's like the first one ever. Like,
exactly.
she's a fucking superhero.
He did a Firestarter.
Yeah. Oh,
that one.
Dude, I didn't even remember that.
Yeah. Honestly, like, there's a bunch. This one is just kind of portraying it more as like your more stereotypical superhero, because it's the kid. He's got like a cape on and he's like flying and stuff, and he like it basically is like if Superman went bad, because it shows like a comet flying down onto Earth and stuff like that, and then like Elizabeth Banks finds him and he raises him and stuff. So I don't know. I think it looks kind of cool. Some people are shitting on it because they don't agree with the whole superhero horror thing, but I don't really think it makes...
I still think it's gonna be bad.
I don't know. We'll see.
It sounds like a stupid fucking idea. I mean, I can't judge it till I see it, but
Yeah.
it sounds like a stupid fucking idea. Imagine
That's
a
fair.
superhero that was a serial killer. Like,
No, I mean, that's totally fair, but I, for one, am for like more unique ideas and diversity, and I think it is a pretty unique idea.
I don't know.
so-
Cam was pretty unique. I haven't seen anything like that before.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't too great.
I mean, it was all right, though.
It was all right.
Yeah.
Maybe you might be a little jaded because it's a Blumhouse. I mean, people should definitely watch that shit. We already covered that.
Yeah, yeah.
But like, I'm just saying, it's like It's innovative, but not great. Like,
yeah, it wasn't amazing.
So,
But
like,
I think it's a step in the right direction.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's a step toward like. Okay, now we gotta stop trying to be innovative and just make movies good. Like,
I mean, yeah,
because I mean, like with Halloween, they tried to be way too fucking like deep, like, and it kind of made it not seem like a horror movie.
Yeah.
It was more like just like an action thriller. Like,
yeah. I mean, I think we have to have a good mix of both, obviously, because like look at Get Out. You know, like that was a unique idea.
yeah,
but it
I've
was
never
a good
seen
movie,
anything like
you know?
that. Or Split.
Exactly. Yeah. So.
Those two were good.
Yeah, exactly. So I think you just need to start approaching it that way. Like, still have creative ideas, but like make a good movie. You know.
I mean, even if they make something that's never been that's been seen before, because like, you know, people like there have been movies that came out that were similar to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original one, and to me they were done better, but they didn't get as high of a rating as the original one because you know that was the original one, and like I think we need to just stop like, you know, even talking about the original movies or even thinking about them when we're watching these new movies. You can't be like, oh, this is nothing like older movies. You can't be one of those fucking assholes because then you won't enjoy shit. So just watch the movie and who cares? Oh, look, did this, did that. Okay, did you like it? Yes. Okay, cool. Move on with your life. Did you like it? No. Okay, good. Move on with your life. Stop like, I don't know. I feel like we put too much like thought into what makes a movie good instead of like, you know when a movie's bad. You watch it at the theater and then you leave and you're like, wow, that was bad.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I felt after watching Halloween. I'm not going to lie. I was disappointed a little bit. But how you can tell a movie's good is you leave the theater, you're like, holy shit. Like after when I went with fucking Alan, Mookie, and Kenny and we saw Paranormal Activity, like we were like, oh shit. Like that was good, you know? Like it was scary. It was effective. And that's why we need horror critics and not asshole critics. Well, the character development and what the it's like, all right, well, fuck you, old guy. You fucking angry old, not getting any vag, so you're taking it out on fucking movie makers. I'm not taking it out on movie maker. Da, 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 da. We're not gonna be those old guys. When we say a movie's shit, it's probably because it's shit. Yeah. Like let's say like Basket Case, it's classic, right? Basket, but it's shit. Brain Dead was classic, but it's shit. Yeah. The original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, kind of weird, but it was kind of shitty acting, and like the no blood made it fucking unrealistic. Like we need people to say these things. Stop putting these like fucking older movies on a pedestal and giving them the excuse because it was good for at the time. Sure, it was, but like we could have just waited till technology got better and then started making better horror movies. Because all these concepts like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Halloween, they were great. And Halloween was done well, so I can't really say anything. But like other movies, like fucking Toxic Avenger and like Brain Dead and fucking all these crazy movies, like they could have been, if they were made in today's age, they'd be way better movies. I don't care what anyone says about nostalgia. I don't care about any of that. I wasn't around during the 80s. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I mean they are heavily influenced still, so I agree. But all right, there's our rant for the episode.
Yeah, I mean, look. When you're watching a movie, watch it with a clean slate. That's the plug right there. Make sure you check out Clean Slate Productions. That's what Barnabas works for. But yeah, man, just walk into it, watch the movie. If you're like, well, that sucked, then that's fact. Like, no one has ever watched a bad movie at a theater and left and been like, wow, that's great. Yeah. And like, bro, if a movie sucks, everyone's in pretty much agreement. Like, I mean, when we watched Halloween, I could kind of see it. We all felt underwhelmed when we met up. We were just like, how do I feel? If you don't know how you feel, then it sucked, and you just don't want to say it sucked because you're gonna feel bad saying it. Like,
so be on the lookout for Brightburn. It's coming out May 24th. I'm gonna go see it most likely just because I want to form my own opinion after I see that movie.
Yeah. Now we got a new Godzilla movie coming out. Yes. What the fuck is up?
So we talked about this before, I know, but there's a second trailer that came out, official trailer, and it hyped me the fuck up. I'm not gonna lie. So I had to put it in here again and talk about it again because we see a lot more in this trailer than we did in the first one, and this might be like a midnight showing for me. I'm super pumped about it. I mean, I'm super biased because I like all the big monster stuff, but Godzilla King of the Monsters coming out May 31st. The new trailer shows off like way more of all the other monsters that he's going to be fighting, including Ghidorah, Mothra, And then I think there's maybe one other one.
So I guess in this film we learn why Godzilla's the king of the monsters.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be fighting all these guys.
Did they have a King Kong versus Godzilla?
I think so. Actually, I'm not sure if they did in the past. I think they did.
I think Godzilla could be. I mean, he's a fucking dinosaur. Yeah. King Kong's just a big monkey. Dinosaurs beat monkeys any day.
King Kong has
But hold on. King Kong has those long ass arms, and like Godzilla doesn't have long arms. He just has your basic. Okay, let's say
he has like T-Rex arms.
Yeah, basically. That's. I didn't want to say that because that's.
Yeah.
I don't want to put down Godzilla, but still.
No, I mean, Godzilla's still a badass, though. He can't brawl really that well, but he's got that fucking, like, hyper beam.
Look, I'm just hoping this is better than Godzilla 2000, okay?
Oh, it will be. It will be. I can already tell. The trailer is super hype.
Because that's the Godzilla movie I saw last, and boy, was the last King Kong movie I saw last way better than it. So
for sure.
The one we watched a few years ago, actually.
Yeah. Honestly, like the 2014 Godzilla remake was not that bad.
Yeah,
and this is a follow up to that, so I think it's going to be cool. It's got 11 from Stranger Things in it. Millie Bobby Brown. Yeah.
Is she bald?
No, she's got normal hair.
Okay, cool.
But she's in this. I'm not exactly sure what her role is going to be, but it's going to be kind of your standard Godzilla movie. He's going to be fighting all these monsters who come up. Rodan as well in this. So I think it looks cool. I'm pretty much always pumped for like giant monsters fighting each other. So I'm excited for it. May 31st, that's coming out. And then the last trailer is one I just saw today. It's called Captive State, and this one is kind of more of a sci-fi. But if you've ever seen District 9, kind of think something along the lines of that.
Why does that sound familiar? What the fuck is District 9?
Oh, it's by the same dude who did Hardcore Henry, and I think one or two other things. It's about these like aliens who invade and post up, and like I think it's like in New Zealand or something. And the main character, I think undergoes some kind of like medical procedure or something. He like starts turning into one of the aliens. I don't know, but
I gotta check that shit out. What the fuck?
It's pretty cool, honestly. Captive State is about an alien occupation as well. 10 years after there's an alien invasion, it takes place in Chicago, and it follows both characters on like the side of the resistance and the side of like the humans who kind of just willingly became the aliens' slaves.
Gotcha.
So the horror elements don't seem super heavy, but it still looks like a pretty cool movie. So that's coming out March 29th. All right, so we've got a pretty cool cult corner and chopping block lined up for you guys today. They're actually sort of related, and you're going to see why. So in the first segment, we've got a true classic in the cult corner. All right, Sam, what do we got today?
We have the all-time classic, Sleepaway Camp.
Yes. So...
What's wrong with you, Angela?
The movie came out in 1983.
And it really, really amplifies how big of an asshole someone can be when talking about counselors.
Yeah.
Because for some reason, I think these horror movies want us to know that camp counselors are terrible people. These are teenage pieces of shit, and fuck them all. They deserve to die. That's the vibe I got from all of these camp murder movies.
I mean, they really were like dickheads to her.
Like dude, they could see there was something wrong with her. Like she was like, she's like autistic or something. She's like non-compliant when she doesn't want to be, and she only replied to that one kid who she liked and ended up killing. But clearly she's autistic, and they're like trying to bully her into like doing everything, and like they just talk shit to her like for no reason. Like they went to go snitch on her because she didn't want to go swim, and then like the counselor Meg was like getting mad as fuck. It's like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, I mean, I think the movie, I mean, all of those movies honestly just exemplify the whole like I don't know, pre-adult mindset basically, which most kids honestly have. Now maybe less so, but back then especially, it was like you found your like group of friends, you know, that you can like fuck around with and talk shit to and everything. And then if anybody kind of comes through that isn't really, you know, vibing with you, then like you make fun of them. Like that's how kids were raised. you know. And that's what all these like camp movies basically.
But they weren't
about.
making fun of her. They were like fucking harassing her. Like,
well, yeah, I mean,
like this was like the only movie where like I watched it and I was like, good fuck. I hope they all die. Like,
yeah,
like I felt bad that she chopped her man, whatever his man. I don't know what the fuck.
Yeah.
She chopped the kid's head off. Okay. I just won't even say a pronoun. Angela chopped the kid's fucking head off at the end of the movie, and then she stood there screaming with her dick out. So,
yeah. So, I mean, at this point, I hope that you're all familiar with the film, but yeah, the ending was like honestly, the ending is what makes it a cult classic.
Hold on, I took notes on this because I had to do a refresher watch because like I've only watched it like 4 other times before like. And I watched it last year, though, recently. So, like, right off the bat, the intro and the music was retro as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
It had great opening cinematography. I liked the way the camera was, you know, slowly zooming in and then left to right. It was, like, you know, super 80s vibes. Themes about teenagers causing tremendous fatal accidents due to not paying attention and being irresponsible. Right off the bat, Angela's dad is killed. And what we don't know at the beginning of the movie is that little boy was Angela.
Yeah.
Another thing, really bad acting by Angela's fucking aunt. She was so over the top, and I wanted to kill her. Like, remember? Oh, did I?
Yeah.
No, I don't. Like, bro, you are a bad actress.
Honestly, most of the acting was pretty trash.
Dudes wearing short shorts everywhere. The dudes had like the fucking crop tops. They had their nipples coming out. Like, what the fuck was going on?
I don't know, man. I think that was the style back then. I couldn't do that, but
shit was mad sketchy, bro. Like, too sketchy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, it just looks weird. Are you homophobic? No, stupid. You just look like a dumbass when you were.
I mean,
it's like, dude, like these were like they were trying to act tough in booty shorts and crop tops.
yeah. I don't know, but yeah, all the kids were assholes, but
They were all assholes, and they had like they dressed horribly. Like that's the best word for it. You guys did the teenagers did, and the ones that did dress knew how to dress. Like there was one guy, he just had jeans and a shirt, and it didn't even look like tight jeans. He just looked like a regular guy, and I was like, and they didn't look like cheap Walmart jeans either. He just looked like he was like a regular dressed guy. I was like, I think that's more of an accurate representation of how people looked like in the 80s. I don't think everyone was walking around in fucking booty shorts like bullying everybody, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's just in movies.
But
I think that's just in movies. Like the whole like in the 1980s, how you'd get bullied is like you'd get a toilet plunger shoved up your ass and they would throw you in the lake like most 80s movies. But like I don't think that's realistic. I think that's just in movies, honestly, because people like that don't exist.
I hope not. But I didn't grow up in the 80s, so I have no idea. I mean, you know, kids in like the 90s were bullies too, but yeah, they never did shit like that. I don't know.
Yeah, no, like the most they would do to you, and then they'd be like, "Nerd, hey, look, he likes Yu-Gi-Oh!" And then you got 2 kids pointing at you, you fucking nerd. And then you'd be like, "I'm not a nerd, bitch. Yu-Gi-Oh's cool, you fucking bitch." Like,
yeah.
And that's how it was.
At least that's how it was here.
So what'd you think about Sleepaway Camp?
I liked it overall, but I will say this, without the ending, I thought it was like just an average horror movie.
I thought it was pretty average. I liked the setting, that it was at a camp during the summertime, like I said, the 80s vibes, but I liked how like it flowed really well too.
Yeah,
it wasn't like let's say Halloween, the new one. I'm gonna keep ripping it a new asshole, even though it's in my top 10 favorite horror movies of this year. It's like probably at number 4, but like still, like the pacing was like perfect, like, and it flowed well, like everything was like necessary, except, well, I guess the ending with like the whole flashback showing Angela used to be a boy, but like it's like we saw her dick, we knew she was, you know, not always a girl.
They just had to explain
like
it because it's so shocking.
Yeah, it's like, but like she would, I don't know, the ending fucking freaked me out.
Yeah, I mean, I will say though, going back, I do agree that I never felt like it was like too long of a movie or anything. You know, I felt like it flowed pretty well. But the ending definitely threw you for a loop because the entire time you have this structure of like it's a camp slasher movie. Someone's killing these kids and stuff, you know.
It took a while for things to start going because the first person got burned, but they didn't die. Remember the chef? Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's another thing I got to mention. The chef was a fucking pedophile and he was trying to like fuck Angela, and then she poured boiling soup water on him, which was like the greatest thing. I was so happy when that happened because like I was like, damn, finally one of these motherfuckers gets like butchered in these movies, and like the dickhead doesn't get away with trying to do some shit. Like,
Yeah, and I mean, it was kind of more like subtle too. You know, it wasn't like aggressively creepy like it would be today if there was some pedophile going
And
after this girl.
Angela's cousin was a red herring for this movie too.
Yeah.
Like they were trying to paint it that he was it, and like at one point the owner of the camp beat the shit out of him. Like he beat him half to death. Like,
I mean, I will say I thought that the mystery of the movie was pretty fucking good, and the twist obviously was incredible.
I knew it was her
Yeah.
when she entered that one bitchy chick's cabin when she shoved that fucking okay, another death is a curling iron that was turned on got shoved up a girl's vagina.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
That was
crazy.
probably she deserved it though. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Like she was like a real bitch. Like she tried to her and Meg threw Angela into the lake.
Yeah, now that I think about it, this was like a hardcore like revenge movie.
Yeah, but
it was
it, like
pretty graphic.
it like took its she probably wouldn't have killed anyone if like they were nice to her, but I think
Yeah.
all that fucked up shit like triggered her somehow.
Oh yeah, I mean she was already like mentally disturbed, but then she was just like there to like make friends and have a nice time, and then they all basically tortured her.
Yeah.
So her psyche just broke, and then she just went on a killing spree. I mean, I'm not surprised.
I think she initially wasn't gonna kill that kid at the end. You remember him?
Yeah.
But that kind of answers the question why she was naked. I guess she was ready to lose her virginity to him.
Yeah, because didn't she like him?
Yeah, and then he
Yeah.
saw that she had a dick and she freaked out, and then I think that sent her over the edge and she just killed him. Like that was
Yeah.
the last straw. Like
I mean, there's a lot to unpack in this movie about like all that kind of stuff.
I knew
it's pretty
like
crazy.
you could kind of see her face though before she shoved that curling iron up that girl's vajayjay. Like you see her in the doorway with like a ponytail and like boys' clothes. So like
Nice. Yeah, I was actually
in full
going.
view.
I was going through some of the trivia and stuff, and I actually never knew this, but I mean, it makes sense obviously, but I never knew exactly how they did the end. But they filmed a naked guy wearing a mask cast from the actress Felissa Rose's face, and then he stood in, and apparently the guy who stood in and got naked had to get drunk before he could do the scene, which I mean I guess makes sense.
Dude, he had like a half an inch dick. That was a grown man?
It was he was like a college student.
That's sad.
I mean, he was probably nervous as shit, so I'm not.
Might have been cold outside, let's not judge him.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they did have to shoot it outdoors.
Hey, maybe growers, not showers, all right? Maybe he had the 1 incher that turned into a 12.
Yeah, you never know.
Or maybe he had the 1 incher that turned into a half when it's hard. You never know. It's not. We shouldn't judge people
Yeah, I'm not going to
based
shame
on their
him.
bodies,
I'm not-
even if they have a shameful little penis.
I mean, hey, no matter what, he's got a famous dick. So
It looked like
there you go.
a midget's fist holding a peanut.
Yeah. Imagine just being in a bar like, hey, you like horror movies? Have you ever seen Sleepaway Camp?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my dick.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, oh,
if
shit.
you're that dude, yeah, I'd tell. I wouldn't tell anyone that was me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, yo, is that your dick? Nah, fam. My shit like this big. Like, like something.
Yeah. God, it's like the fourth one today.
Right.
But I mean,
man.
yeah, the ending was very shocking.
I like the music.
Oh, the music was very good too.
The score was good. They kept the camera angles when Angela would show up on screen and kill, so like you
Yeah.
couldn't tell who it was. Really Friday the 13th ish.
Yeah, probably Giallo inspired.
I think
Yeah.
I think this movie was like a love letter to Friday the 13th. That's what it seemed. Except instead of the kid getting killed and the parent coming back for revenge, the parent got killed and the kid came back for revenge.
Yeah, I mean they did make it their own movie with how the twist worked and everything. And then when you like go back and think about it with knowing the twist, you're like, oh shit, like this is actually pretty creative.
Yeah, it was actually really creative, and like that's why it was good, because like it wasn't like a simple concept. It was like a new concept, and like Angela's like the first transgender killer, right? So that's like a landmark right there for that.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, maybe
I mean, she was. I mean,
maybe at least in like an American horror, I would probably say so, unless I'm missing something.
I mean, I've never saw a transgender killer before that. So yeah, I would say Angela's probably like the first trans like horror movie antagonist.
Yeah, most likely.
Landmark.
Yeah, I don't know. Let us know if you guys know about that fact. But yeah, it was crazy. I mean, the movie had a budget of $350,000, and it made roughly around 11 million at the box office.
Yeah, 350K.
That's-
So like about 30,000 more than John Carpenter's Halloween.
Yeah. So it made like 3 times as much. I mean, shit. If I saw it in the theaters and I was like, "Damn, she's killing everybody,"
Yeah.
I'd be telling all my friends. I mean, I'm not surprised this movie has the status that it has.
Yeah, it's the ending. I bet people were telling, bro, wait till you see the end.
Yeah. I mean, even now, like if I had never seen this movie before and I watched the movie, at the end of the movie, I'd be freaked out.
Dude, my
I'd be,
first
like,
time watching
crazy.
this, I didn't know she was,
Yeah.
you know, like having a dick and stuff. Like, I didn't know she was doing that.
Yeah. It's honestly, yeah. I mean, if I showed somebody right now and they never saw this movie, they'd probably be freaked out. So, it's a very shocking scene. I mean, it's well deserving of its cult status. It's just a classic slasher movie.
They got the Blu-ray, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they do. I don't have the Blu-ray of this one. I have the Blu-ray of part 2, but they like remastered it and everything.
You still got to watch part 3.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
It's like really kooky.
Yeah, I mean, even with part 2, it was like noticeably way goofier.
I don't even remember part 2. What happened in part 2?
I don't know. She came back like way older, and she was a counselor herself, and then she was like just killing the other counselors. I don't remember a lot of the deaths and stuff that well, but
Okay, that's coming back to me.
yeah, that was the basic premise. But
They have 2 more sleepaway camps.
yeah, I didn't even know that.
No, after the sequel to that one.
Yeah, after part, so there's like a 4 and 5.
They
right?
made 4 out of old footage of something that was supposed to be the original 92 movie.
Oh.
And they have the 2010 one, which is Return to Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
I
Interesting.
haven't either. So they have 3, 4, and then that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I felt like it could have been a way more successful franchise. I mean, it's still pretty. And 5 movies is nothing to scoff at, but most people don't really look at anything past like the first movie.
You know what's funny? Once you figure out that Angela's like a boy, you know, like you figure how like she was able to kill everyone else, like the girls that were like you know, I mean, because you know that's a little boy. A little boy's stronger than a little girl because they have more testosterone, and that's just how they're biologically made. So you're like, you see Angela killing like even these boys older than, you know, her, and then like you're like, how is she doing this? And you see the dick and balls at the end. You're like, aha, there's the culprit. It's that testosterone in those tiny little testicles there.
I mean, there's another cool fact too. Apparently, the actress's mom didn't want her associated with all the crazy violence, at least in like her acting it out necessarily.
So they had someone else's hands act out the kills.
Yeah, it was like it was some guy's hands, which. I mean, I haven't like looked at it like very closely, but you could probably tell.
It looks like her hands though. No, I was looking at the arms when they were killing just to see if like would this be like a little girl's arm? And it was legit. Like,
yeah,
I guess some men just back in the day had really girly arms.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think that there were that many like freaky buff guys back then as there are now.
Oh yeah, now it's different. You know.
Yeah.
They got 25 grams of protein and everything, bro.
Yeah. I don't know. Dudes are just getting jacked, but that's pretty much all I got to say about Sleepaway Camp. I mean, I think it's a classic slasher movie. I love watching this film.
My third favorite camp slasher.
Mm-hmm.
First is the Burning. Second is Friday the 13th, the original.
Yes.
And then this.
Yeah. It's a great movie. Let us know what you guys think about it. But I want to move on to our main segment before we talk about what makes horror. Here's just a few words from some other great shows on Sports Radio Detroit Network.
Hi, this is Chris.
And this is Roger.
And if you like Tigers baseball, Major League Baseball, Minor League Baseball, analytics, pop culture references, movies, sports, food, check us out. Look for Tigers SRD on iTunes, Google Play, or Spotify.
Do you love pop culture? Discussions about pop culture? Ranking and rating treasured pieces of that shared culture against each other?
I mean, I do think Flea's a good bass player. He does what he does very well. And like I said, he's like a rock star, you know? He's eccentric. What is so funny?
I just didn't know he talked so long about Flea. I didn't know anybody had so many feelings.
I do.
So many
I got
feelings.
yeah.
Music, movies, television, food, sports, pro wrestling. We are the determination of what is over or underrated across all fields of greater cultural consumption. Subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts and Podbean, or visit us at sportsradiodetroit.com. Over Under Fair, your final word in pop cultural relevance.
All right.
Brr. Damn it. I almost interrupted you.
Almost.
Dude, you fucker.
I'm getting pretty good at the timing.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this. So like I said before, I've been seeing...
yeah, all right. There's one.
All right, there you go. You got it. I've been seeing a lot of people on social media and everything. I don't know why recently it's been happening, but because people think they're like super intelligent, apparently, you know, commenting all this stuff about, this movie wasn't really that scary. This movie isn't really a horror movie. It's a thriller, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know. I just had a lot of thoughts about it. So I kind of wanted to talk about it because I feel like it's important to distinguish, objectively, like, hey, what is a horror movie?
Let me explain this.
Okay.
Anything that if it happens to you, you'd be scared, that's horror.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if... Like Terminator 1, that's a fucking horror movie.
Yeah.
All right? Of course, it's like a sci-fi action, but when it has like the score in it, the atmosphere, the lighting, and the fact that there's a killer fucking robot after you, that's not fucking horror. How is Jaws not a horror movie? You're getting ripped in pieces. You literally watch yourself slowly die by getting eaten by a shark. That's
it's not like you're gonna be fucking waving your hands around, going like, I'm so happy.
Yeah, right.
After you're getting fucking chewed up by a great white shark.
Well, since this isn't a horror movie, I'm not horrified to be killed. I'm thrilled. Like,
right.
No.
Like
They just made up that word thriller, even though it is like they just made that for basically horror movies that aren't like supernatural. Let's be real.
Yeah, I mean, listen, okay, you can have thrillers that are not horror movies, like Taken, for example. I don't really think Taken is necessarily considered a horror film, but that movie is rooted a lot more in real life.
I think it's a horror film I think the thriller film is considered a horror film if only the main character is borderline helpless. Because Liam Neeson was not in Taken,
Yeah,
right? He had a particular set of skills, and skills like that made him a nightmare for people like them, all right? I don't know if you knew that, but that's something I picked up.
I
That's the whole vibe I got from that movie.
And that's important. That word is important, vibe.
Yeah.
Because I think that there's certain criteria that a movie kind of has to meet in one way or another to be considered a horror movie.
Look at the original Halloween. That's a thriller movie.
Yeah, I mean,
but it's a horror movie.
I mean, it was the first of its kind, really. But yeah, of course, it's a horror movie because, first of all, the atmosphere, probably the biggest thing, and kind of mixed in with the atmosphere is, I think, the intent.
Yeah.
Okay, and I don't know if that's talked about enough. But
and the lighting, all those
Exactly,
three right
yeah.
there,
Yeah.
and the score. That's all a part of what makes a horror movie a horror
Yeah.
movie. If it's dude, if you were watching Halloween, right, the original John Carpenter one, but every time like Michael Myers hops on the screen, you hear Chacarone Macaron.
Yeah, that wouldn't qualify. Yeah, and I think all those
Score.
things are part of the whole that is the vibe of the film.
Yeah.
Jaws has the same thing. Let's look at something
Donna.
else. Jurassic Park.
Donna.
Exactly, yeah.
Donna.
Because it
Donna.
creates suspense, and then that's
Jurassic
really
Park
what it's about.
is a fucking horror movie.
Yeah.
Dude, especially like those nighttime shots with the lightning flashing when you see the T-Rex and he's like, that's a
Yeah.
fucking horror movie.
I mean, I agree. You could also make the argument that it's in a lot of ways it is not, and it's maybe more of a action adventure film. I think the more grandiose score, like the main score, okay, that's not really a horror movie. But when you're staring down a fucking Tyrannosaurus Rex, and it's about to like snap its jaw on your head and just devour you, like that's pretty horrific.
Yeah, it might not be horror, but it has horror elements. So now let's all right, now here's the difference between a comedy horror and a horror with comedy elements.
Mm-hmm.
So a comedy horror would be Scary Movie, right?
Yeah.
A horror with comedy elements would be Get Out.
Yeah.
That's the difference. Like,
Yeah. You can still call something a horror comedy.
Stan Helsing.
Exactly.
That's a horror comedy. Brain Dead is a horror with comedy elements.
Right.
Like,
I mean, it's a goofier, but like you
it
can't
takes-
not call it a horror movie.
if it takes itself seriously but has funny characters, then it's a horror with comedy elements.
Mm-hmm.
If nothing takes itself seriously, like Scary Movie or Shriek, If You Know What I Did Last Friday the 13th, which we got to get an episode about. We got to
should.
do like Club Dread soon and shit like that.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the best horror movies. That's a horror movie with comedy elements.
Club Dread.
Yeah. It's not a comedy horror because like...
Maybe. I think just because it's Broken Lizard, I would actually maybe argue that it's the opposite. Because I
didn't even know it was Broken Lizard until
Yeah.
like I actually read the VHS cover because that's how I said Broken Lizard's Club Dread. I was like, oh shit, fucking Super Troopers or whatever the fuck was it?
Yeah, so that's the only reason I would argue that. But yeah, I mean, you could totally have a comedy, horror, whatever.
But the thing is,
horror
like,
movie and they're both horror movies.
yeah, Club Dread though, like it gave me that like 80s vibe though. Like it's kind of goofy, but like it's still a horror movie. Like
I mean, there's still people getting butchered. That movie's actually really gory.
it's fucking brutal, bro.
Yeah. So
Especially when Machete Sam gets ripped in half by that fucking rope at the end. Like,
yeah. So I mean that's another thing. I mean the gore factor too. You know, like it like I said before, it's all about how you set the vibe. You know, you can have dramas with lots of blood in them, but for the most part, when you have like shit tons of blood, because people are scared of blood.
what about this one? Pan's Labyrinth.
Pan's Labyrinth.
Fantasy.
Yeah. Okay. So
There's the difference. Like,
yeah,
if it
that
has
for
like
sure.
all the weird shit like castles and all that fuckery, not castles like Dracula, like castles like fucking
Yeah.
like you're expecting to see elves. If you see elves, it's not a horror movie.
Because so Pan's Labyrinth is kind of like this weird fringe case because it's definitely meant to be more of a horrific fable with a message, you know. But I don't know if I would necessarily consider it a horror film.
No, that's
Just because, yeah,
it's like a fantasy drama.
yeah, exactly. I mean, a lot of Del Toro stuff falls under that. He's just a super enigmatic filmmaker, but like something like The Devil's Backbone, that is definitely way more of a horror film, even though it has some fantasy elements. Pan's Labyrinth's kind of hard to place, but I would consider it more of a fantasy action adventure movie.
So what for a sci-fi movie for you would have to be make it a horror sci-fi like?
All right, well, I mean, we could look at Alien. That's probably the most classic example.
Give me something else besides Alien.
All right, besides Alien, I mean, we already talked about Terminator. I don't know,
Count
maybe
you count Predator though, the first one.
I would count Predator.
I would
yeah.
too.
I mean,
because
I think
that's
it's
a
widely
fucking
regarded
that's a
as
fucking
horror.
monster out there
Yeah.
hunting you, and it has the fucking, it can see your aura and shit.
Yeah.
Like this is Dead by Daylight or Friday the 13th. Like
That movie is definitely part action adventure, but it's definitely part horror. I mean, it's widely regarded in horror circles as like a horror film, you know,
yeah, I agree.
because it's got this alien monster in it.
The
so-
new one wasn't horror.
Yeah,
The new one was a comedy action movie.
Yeah, the new one wasn't quite as much, but the first one, especially, like the score, the suspense, the overall mood, like there was never really a dull moment in that movie where you just got a chance to like breathe, you know?
Yeah,
like it was
exactly.
constantly tense.
Exactly. I think that too, keeping the movie tense more than relaxed, like that will change like the whole genre of the movie.
Yeah.
Like that's the breaking point between a drama and a horror. Like you see those drama movies where a woman has a stalker? Those are drama movies. You know why? They're missing that it's a different kind of dread.
Right.
Like
yeah.
I don't know how to like really explain it in words, but like you could tell when something's like, oh shit, you know, like
Let me bring up another movie. So we were talking about Godzilla earlier. I would probably classify that as horror. Obviously,
that's horrific. Yeah, what the fuck? Dude, let's say you're sitting in your fucking house.
Yeah.
You're just like, everything's cool. And then you look outside and there's a fucking giant dinosaur shooting fucking shit out of its
Yeah.
mouth. That's not fucking scary. That's not horror.
But let's look at something like this. Let's look at something
Cloverfield.
like Cloverfield's definitely horror. But I was gonna
Exactly.
say
But that's one that people, oh, that's not horror.
Yeah, I was gonna offer an alternate point. Pacific Rim. Okay, Pacific Rim.
Sounds dirty.
Yeah, you've never seen it. It's so basically it's a giant monster movie, but it's got humans in giant robots fighting against the monsters. So
I've never seen it, no.
it's a great movie, but I wouldn't consider it horror,
Oh, dude,
even though it's got giant monsters. Killing
Event
people in it.
Horizon,
Oh, Event Horizon is
that's horror.
That's horror.
And sci-fi done perfect.
yes, I agree with that.
But Alien is still the best. Like, dude, I just recently watched Alien for the first time, and like the ending, I thought she was fucked, honestly.
Yeah,
Her little booty though. Like, remember she had that little booty.
yeah.
That little booty.
Ripley becomes one of the most badass horror protagonists for sure.
Scream Queen.
Yeah, but yeah, Alien. I mean, for sure, is the xenomorph itself obviously is terrifying.
Yeah, yeah.
It could like literally kill you like that.
And the
And
fact
you're
that it can
isolated on the ship.
the fact that it can lay eggs in your fucking chest too. I mean,
yes. Yeah, that movie is definitely like the quintessential sci-fi horror. I mean, so to answer your initial question, I think really it's just, again, about the general atmosphere, because you have sci-fi movies like Independence Day. I don't really consider Independence Day a horror
No, it's not a
film,
horror.
because it's got all these like really like, you know, all these moments with like all this bravado and all the, you know,
all the
really
fucking
intense-
politicians and shit. too.
Exactly. All the really intense music. It's got the romance, you know, aspects of it and everything, the deep like family aspects. That's not really a horror movie, but when you take like a group of people, you put them on a ship in the middle of nowhere, and you introduce this like alien monster who's hunting them down and killing them, like that's a horror movie.
Yeah, that is.
You know, so I think sci-fi like intrinsically falls under horror, just like thriller does, because it has to do with all of these things that take us out of our natural element and put us into this state of fear and suspense, like no matter what. You know, you said Terminator before. I mean, if you're like going
Hell yeah.
up against, you know, this killer robot,
That's worse than being against Michael or Jason.
exactly, that's horrific. So, you know, you can argue about it all you want, but
Switch shoes with the person, and basically the vibe. That's it.
yeah,
Like how-
that's what I think it comes down to the most.
Honestly, nothing else really matters. Like
Yeah,
you could be getting ripped apart by like a giant robot, and if you don't have the music down and all that shit, then it's just like a fucking sci-fi drama. And that's the difference between there's sci-fi dramas and there's like sci-fi horror movies.
exactly.
Another good sci-fi horror movie is Mine Ripper. I don't know if you guys. It's Hills Have Eyes, like the unofficial part 3 by Wes Craven. So
Which is weird considering that like the original Hills Have Eyes is all about these like inbred hill people.
yeah, and this one is about like about one of like just a dude who becomes like superhuman because he got injected with this like gene, but like
Yeah.
he gets like these insane headaches if he doesn't eat like this part of your brain.
Yeah.
So he has to eat like this part of your brain.
That actually kind of reminds me. I mean, you know who does a lot of stuff that's kind of similar to that and has to deal with those kind of themes is Stephen King.
Yeah.
And like he's one of the most prolific horror content producers of all time. And I mean, his stuff is scary, yeah, but when you look at something like, I don't know, like Firestarter or whatever, like, or even, I mean, Pet Sematary, stuff like that, that's kind of different. But, you know, he's got a lot of movies, he's got a lot of stuff out there that, you know, you wouldn't necessarily consider horror like on the surface, but the way that the suspense builds in all of those stories and just the general like subject matter, I mean, that's all falls right into horror for me. So yeah, I mean, you could argue about it all day long, I guess. There are even people saying that like Hereditary isn't really like a horror movie, and I'm like, how?
Bro, that's retarded.
Yeah, I didn't understand that at all.
Sorry, that's mentally ill. That sounds worse. No, that's retarded, like for real.
Yeah, I didn't understand that.
If you say that Hereditary is not a horror movie, you're a piece of shit.
I mean, if you remove like the last 30 minutes, maybe.
No, I still don't think so.
But I mean, considering everything that happened with
Dude,
like
a kid's
the sun and everything,
kid's head came off.
Exactly. Yeah, so I don't know about that. I think that's taking it a little too far into the direction of like, well, I like you know, insert whatever shitty movie here, so I know everything about horror.
Yeah, that's the fucking douchebag hipsters approach to like even just talking about horror. Well, this not a horror. It's like, bro, shut your.
I was just gonna say, I don't even think that like what we're saying is subjective. You know, like this
It's
is
not.
objectively like what a horror film is. You know, if you have the
if
right
you-
type of atmosphere and everything. I mean, literally the definition of a horror film is a film that seeks to elicit fear. You know, so it can be in any type of way. But if you feel like anxiety, if you feel a sense of dread or anything like that, it's a horror movie. You know, that's why all these like thrillers and sci-fi movies and all these like other cult movies, that's why you see them talked about all the time and like on Bloody Disgusting and all these other horror groups and all of that. So I don't know. That's all I had to say about it. I just wanted to kind of put that out there.
Same. And if you think we're wrong, then you show me a movie that doesn't have a good score, atmosphere, lighting, and it's a horror movie.
Yeah.
Show me something. You got something without all those things that's a good horror movie? You don't.
Yeah, the atmosphere and everything. Yeah, I mean, if you don't have that, you know what you've got? You've got a drama.
Yeah, that's it.
Or whatever.
It's either a drama or like a drama. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, basically.
Drama's like a horror movie with like an existential threat or something.
Yeah.
Like,
Or I mean, you are a non-horror thriller, but that's basically just a drama.
yeah, that's
So,
it.
yeah.
Like you said, like Taken. Like
Right.
Taken's not a horror, but Get Out is.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, Get Out is completely horrific.
Yeah.
Like if
Dude, imagine if you got your body stolen.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't have to be a black man to imagine that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if it was flipped around the other way, okay. I was telling you earlier, I got my wisdom teeth taken out.
Yeah.
I was on fucking laughing gas before I did the surgery. I felt like I had no control over my body. If this was some like weird, conspiracy experiment where someone just switched bodies with me, I would be fucking terrified.
Yeah, what the fuck? You wouldn't even know you're you right now.
Exactly. So, I don't know. That's all I pretty much wanted to say about that. Do you have anything else that you want to add?
No, just I think we filled the criteria for what makes a horror movie horror.
Yeah.
We've said it. I don't want to just like repeat myself. I'm pretty sure they get the gist of it. And if not, then show me a horror movie that misses all the elements we talked about and is still horror.
Yeah.
And is good. I'm sorry, it has to be good.
Right.
You can't just give me something an independent filmmaker made that was a piece of crap and be like, look, this is technically horror. Because I could have filmed myself cutting off my own hand and be like, oh, that's a horror movie. Yeah. Exploitation movies are also horror movies, as much as I hate to say it.
Yeah,
like all those weird like rape movies, like Last House on the Left. Like that's a horror. That's just not my forte. That's not the kind that's like good. Those are bad movies that have to rely on a shock thing to
but
generate
still
views.
Technically horror films.
Yeah, Serbian film was a horror film.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know. And you can't you just say like, oh well, it has vampires in it. Like Twilight is not a horror movie.
Yeah.
I don't care what you have to say. It just isn't. So anyway, that's pretty much all I have for that. I want to move on now to our very last segment. We're going to be talking about a film that has kind of a connection to the first one we talked about, Sleepaway Camp, in this week's Chopping Block. So this week's Chopping Block features a brand new release on Shudder. I believe it's a Shudder original, exclusive, whatever.
Yeah, it is.
You Might Be the Killer.
And I remember I saw this movie, like, it was, I Googled Cabin in the Woods, and then this one popped up and, like, similar movies, and it's because it has the stoner from Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
And he's supposed to be, like, the main character.
And, I mean, it is like a, well, it's not a Cabin in the Woods movie per se, but it's a campground slasher movie. So very much in the vein of Sleepaway Camp, Friday the 13th and stuff. But, yeah, it's got Fran Kranz, who played the stoner guy in Cabin in the Woods. He plays Sam in this movie. And the movie basically just like jump starts right away. You've got Sam running through the woods. He's like covered in blood. He takes shelter at this little cabin. He pulls out his phone and he calls none other than Allison Hannigan.
Dude, I haven't seen her in anything in a long time.
Yeah. I mean, she's been in some stuff, I think. I think she was in some sitcoms, maybe 2.5 Men or something.
No, she was in How I Met Your Mother.
How I Met Your Mother, that's right. But I don't know if she's done anything horror related in like a while.
Not since like fucking Buffy.
Yeah.
Where she played
Willow.
Yep.
Yeah, so there's actually a cool little reference to that in this movie. I don't know if you caught it.
No, I didn't. When was it?
So there's a point where she's trying to help Sam, because the whole thing is like she plays this character named Chuck, who is this like horror movie expert. She works at this.
Like, I think Chuck is Willow. Like,
yeah. So
even though she literally is, but I think that it was probably meant to be like. Like she just like moved away from the vampires, changed her name, and that's how she's at. Like, why'd she have like a fucking spell book and shit?
Exactly.
She's still a witch.
That's the thing.
She's
that
still
was
a
the
witch.
reference. Yeah, she's trying to help Sam at one point. She's like, I can go in the back and like dig out a spell book or something, like cast a spell.
Like my old days, the olden times.
Right. That's shit, man. She might be. Who knows?
That's Willow for sure.
I think so, but
I think she fucked him over, gave him the mask, or maybe she was supposed to stop it. I'm surprised we didn't see like a fucking Sarah Michelle Gellar cameo and she kicked his ass.
That would be hilarious, yeah. But yeah, basically, so she's supposed to be like this horror movie expert, and she's helping the character of Sam out, trying to escape from this killer. But then it's kind of revealed that he might be the killer.
She starts asking him questions like, "Yo, are you bleeding?" He's like, "Yeah, but it's not my blood." She's like, "Well, how are you? Then why you have blood on you?" He's like, "Well, I was a close witness to the accident." And she's like, "Well,
yeah, I don't know about that."
Yeah,
but then the cool thing is there's this like cursed mask that the killer wears, and he's got this like cool knife. I actually like the killer guys a lot.
Yeah, the mask reminded me of some Slipknot shit.
Yeah. I mean, it reminded me of The Mask from The Mask with Jim Carrey more so than anything.
Yeah.
which is kind of weird. It's not, like a horror reference, but I don't know. It kind of looked similar to me.
This movie though wasn't really it was a comedy horror. This one we can say for sure was a
Yeah,
comedy
definitely.
horror. This wasn't like a horror with comedy elements. This was straight up comedy horror.
I mean, it was kind of a more serious approach, but it was definitely more of a love letter to 80s slashers because
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say it's like necessarily a meta movie, but it still played on like all the classic like slasher movie tropes.
It was like pseudo meta.
Kind of, yeah.
Like they didn't want to admit that they were in a horror movie, but they were like horror movie experts, you know what I mean? So it was kind of like
Yeah, I mean, even with the whole like
was, like,
aspect of the
false
final
meta.
girl and everything, like she was like, at one point, like, oh well, if she's stays alive, she's the only one left alive. She's probably gonna kill you because she's the
Yeah.
final girl. I mean, it was just stuff like that. So it was definitely like self-aware, but I mean, it wasn't like your like prototypical like slasher movie.
No.
because it had like all those elements.
I think-
where
I
they were like, this is probably what's gonna happen.
I think it was more of like like you said, a love letter, but more of like an explanation to
Kinda,
to like
yeah.
slasher movies, to like, yo, what's gonna happen? Like, well, no matter what you try, the final girl's gonna kill you, bro. Like,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and there was a whole bunch of other stuff in there too, and even with the characters being kind of dumbasses, and they really kind of weren't. Like, for the most part, they were actually semi-intelligent, but just like the way that slasher movies work, everybody has to make a dumb mistake.
yeah, remember, it's not about logic.
Yeah, exactly. So, but overall, I like the movie a lot. I'm probably a little biased because I like slasher movies a lot too.
No, I really like this.
But
This was a good movie.
It was good. I mean, it was polished. The score was well done. The cinematography I thought was actually pretty fucking good.
Yeah, and the script wasn't lazy.
No, I
And
mean,
the
I
mo-
thought
and
the
at
script
no
was-
part did the movie take itself too seriously.
Exactly.
That's what kind of will ruin it for me. Like, a movie that takes itself too seriously, even if it's like a great fucking movie, like you gotta like just 1 second, just like turn it down, just a notch. Don't be so like metaphorical. Once all the metaphors start coming in, that's to me like when a movie starts losing its value after like way too many allegories and stuff. It's like, all right, we get it. You're not gonna be explicit about the message of this movie. Now, can you just stop adding stuff to the overall message? Like,
I mean, yeah, in my
because
opinion,
it usually
I don't
doesn't
really
tie
think-
in together well. Like every single message in a horror movie that's supposed to be an allegory, because there's always one main theme. Of course, there's underlying themes, but like sometimes the underlying themes don't even tie into the main theme. That's what I don't like.
Yeah, some movies definitely get lost in themselves way too much. I think this one had just the right amount of, like parody-ish elements and all the tropes and everything. Some of the criticism I saw was that, like the gag establishes itself, or the gimmick establishes itself rather, and then that's kind of all the movie does. I thought it still did a good job holding its own. Like, it carried the story. I don't think it ever really felt like it dragged at any point.
No, it was well paced, and it flowed, unlike Halloween. I'm gonna keep saying until 2018 is over, I'm not letting that go.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna talk about it, I'm sure, because we got a end of the year roundup for our last episode this year. But yeah, I mean, so I thought it flowed well, and a lot of the positive things about this movie was just that it was a lot of fun, and I agree. It was gory, the kills were good. I thought the kills were actually pretty awesome.
Yeah, they were.
You'll see. I mean, there are some things in this movie that kind of, take a turn that you might not expect. But I think that just given the nature of the film, that's kind of to be expected. But for the most part, it does play along with the typical kind of slasher tropes. But it's still its own movie, and I think it's actually cool. Fun fact, this movie actually originated from a Twitter exchange between two authors.
No way.
Yeah, seriously. Chuck Wendig and Sam Sykes. Chuck and Sam in the movie. They just like, I don't know if they planned it or if it was like random. Probably planned it, but there's two authors just basically started talking to each other, and the one guy, I think it was Sam Sykes, he just kind of added him, and he was like, hey man, I became a camp counselor. I'm covered in blood. There's like a killer. And then they kind of just go into this whole exchange. And it's essentially the whole like phone conversation within the movie. Like that was their Twitter conversation.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So Chuck was Chuck, played by Allison Hannigan. So it was kind of cool. The Twitter thing was like a little more lighthearted. and like not quite so serious. But it's pretty cool that even something like that can be turned into a movie.
This is another innovative horror movie because I haven't seen one where someone's questioning if they're the killer or not.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Because usually in the movie, in movies where you find out that like the protagonist is the antagonist or whatever, you know, you're never really led to believe that throughout the movie until like the very end where everything kind of clicks together.
This one you find out pretty quick what the hell's going on.
Yeah. So this one, it doesn't like take you for a fool, you know, it kind of tells you like, yeah, here's what's happening. But then it still throws enough kind of cool stuff in there to keep you guessing, you know. So for me, this movie isn't chopped. I think you should definitely go check it out if you have Shudder. And yeah, I recommend it.
Yeah, it's not chopped for me either. And I really, really enjoyed this one. I turned it on and I was not disappointed. Like I enjoyed my night that night. Usually, like I'll pick like a random movie, you know, off my queue. Like I'm gonna watch Boskin tonight.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I looked at the trailer and I like really liked the setting and the cinematography and like the whole like cult-ish stuff. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna save this for like a good day.
Yeah. If you like that one, then another one I recommend, I told you about it before, is The Void. It's got kind of a similar like cultish, crazy sci-fi horror like presence. It's got a lot of cool like practical effects too, which Baskin does as well.
Yeah, but like I said, like this was one of the horror movies that I sat down and I actually enjoyed watching it, and I didn't feel like I wasted 2 hours that I could have been playing Dead by Daylight. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so go check out You Might Be the Killer. It's on Shudder right now. If you have it, go watch it. And
make sure to check us out. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Grave Discussions. For Twitter, that's Gravedisc SRD. The movie is not chopped for me. If you can't get your hands on You Might Be the Killer, you can find it on Comcast, I'm pretty sure. You just pay the fucking $3 rental fee just once. It's worth it. Yeah, go check it out. That's all I have for this week's episode. Next week is going to be a cool one. We're fast approaching the holidays, as I'm sure everyone is aware, so we would be remiss not to talk about holiday horror movies. So that's exactly what we're going to do next week. Next week, we'll spoiler alert, we're gonna be talking about a lot of Christmas movies, including the original and remake of Black Christmas, Silent Night, Deadly Night, and the more recent one, Krampus. Yes. Make sure you tune in next week on Grave Discussions. Ho 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 ho. Ho 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 ho.
This has been an SRD production.